Hello, class. For this lab, we're going to be creating an AWS account. This is going to enable us to actually get our hands on some real management of cloud computing services, the various tools that AWS offers. So it's a very introductory look at what it might look like to work right in a cloud computing role. So first, you can navigate to AWS. You can just Google it. You can use the URL aws.amazon.com. So I'm just Googling it here. I'm going to navigate to the page and we're going to create one together. So you're going to hit, if it's your first time on AWS, you should see the create AWS account button. If you're a returning user, you'll probably see a sign in button, but we're going to go with the create AWS account. You can also create one from the sign in page. It should give you a create option. Sometimes a little bit hard to find, but if it is your first time, you shouldn't have any problems. So you're going to need an email here. So let's go ahead and see. I'm going to try, let's go with my work email. And then AWS account name. So I'm going to put Professor B. And let's see, verify email address. It's going to do a security verification, make sure we're not a robot. You can reset if this one's not. There we go. This one's a little bit easier to read. FWXGHM. Submit. Gonna get a verification code. Yeah, if you don't see it immediately, you can always check your spam folder. May take a minute. There we go. So you're gonna need to create a username and password. So let's see. So we'll ask for your personal information. For example, your name, address. So go ahead and fill that out. You can choose personal. And let's see. Make sure I'm zoomed in all the way. Yeah, I'll zoom in a little bit closer so you can see what I'm working with. Yeah, so go ahead and complete that and move on to the next step. All right, so once you enter your personal information, it is going to ask you for a credit card. If you do not have your own credit card, if you have trouble getting one, I do have a prepaid vanilla gift card that I set up for the class that you can use. It has a couple bucks, so it should be enough for everybody. Now it's just a $1 hold, so it's going to charge $1 and then refund it if you do use your own card. Same thing with the vanilla gift card. Pretty sure I have enough in there for everybody to sign up at once. But yeah, you could use your own or you could reach out to me. Just send me a Canvas inbox message if you want to use the class card. Now, we're going to be using AWS free tier. We're not actually going to be setting any like any resources outside those limits. So you don't have to worry about actually getting charged, right? As long as you just use it for the labs in the class, you don't have to worry about seeing any costs on your own card. But again, if you have trouble getting a hold of your own card, just feel free to reach out to me and you can always set it up with the class card. So yeah, go ahead and fill out that information with the card and then you can move on to the next step. Once you enter your card information, it'll ask you to confirm your identity by entering your phone number. So go ahead and do that and then you can move on to the next step. Once you've verified your phone number, you're going to move on to the very next step, which is going to be signing up for AWS. So the final step to complete the sign up, we're going to be selecting the AWS free tier. So it's basic support. We're not looking right to actually start a business or do any heavy computing. We're just kind of getting familiar and learning how AWS works. So make sure you select the basic support and then hit complete sign up. And there you go. You should receive an email confirming your sign up and then you can go to the AWS Management Console. And this will be important for our next step of the lab. All right, so our AWS Management Console gives us information on our different services, everything from security to running instances, cost, the health of those instances, a nice little recently visited, right? You can actually customize these widgets, the layout to your specific needs. If you click here on the hamburger menu, you can actually look at all the services that AWS has to offer. So it's a lot of different services. We're going to be looking mostly right at compute, storage. We'll take a brief look at containers, among some other ones as well, like database. We'll talk about migration as well. And of course, we'll be talking about costs and pricing, etc. So yeah, tons of services. I might add something to the lab that involves you kind of digging through these services. But for now, right, we're focusing on setting up our account. Okay, so if you log out, so let's go ahead and log out by clicking on your name at the top right, hitting sign out. I want to show you what it looks like when you come back to log in to your account. So when we set up an account, it was actually the root user. So root user is the highest level of privilege for an AWS account. They have unrestricted access to do pretty much anything they want. Now, for the most part, if you're working with an organization, you're going to be actually logging in with an IAM account, for short. So that's going to involve an account ID or an alias, a username and password. We don't have that set up yet because all we did was log in as root user. So sign in depends on your AWS user type. You can manage an AWS account as root, as an IAM user, as a user in an IAM identity center, or a federated identity. So there's different types, but the ones we're focusing on for today is just root user and IAM. So we don't have an IAM, so we're going to have to log in as root user. I'll do that one more time. It's this button right below the regular sign in is sign in using root user email. So I'm going to sign in as my root user. It was my school email. So we're going to hit next. And then we're going to hit password. I thought it saved it for me. I guess not. There we go. And now we're here. So from here, we're actually going to add an IAM user. You can already see in my recently visited, I just went there. So if you want to find a service, you can certainly go to all services, or you could just use the search bar here. I'm going to type in IAM. And then there you go. That's the top hit, and we're going to navigate there. So now that we're here at the IAM dashboard, we can actually manage our users. And of course, we can also manage groups. So groups is kind of an easy way to apply rules to multiple users at a time. So it's just kind of quicker way of managing user privileges and permissions. All right, so to actually add an IAM user, you're going to go to users here on the left of the access management tab, and then you're going to hit create user. So we're going to give it a username. Here you can choose whatever you like. I'm going to put CIS student, and we're going to give them access, or give us access, right, to the management console. And then we're going to do custom password. I'm going to put Harbor, something like that. All right, so let's see. And then we're going to see users must create new password at next sign in. Yeah, you can have them change the password when they sign in. So usually this is when you're creating the account for somebody else. So this option allows that user, once you do give them this password, they can actually create their own. I'm going to check that off just because, we're creating it for ourselves. And it says set permission options. So add user to existing group or create a new one. Using groups is the best way to manage user permissions by job functions. So yeah, you can categorize users to specific groups. You might have a high-level group, right? The administrators that can do a lot of things. You might have a mid-tier group, right? where they have some limited permissions, and then you have some maybe everyday users, right? Business users, and they might have the lowest level of privileges. You can set up policies, right, to what they can or can't do. So we're going to add user to group. Um, let's see. So in order to add the user, we need to assign them to a group. So we're going to hit create group. And this is a really useful tool when it comes to managing different users on your team. So it says create a user group and select policies to attach to the group. So the policies, right, are typically security policies, right? What they can and they can't do, what they can and can't access. So that might be privileges as, for example, starting and stopping, right, computing resources. And as far as access, right, maybe they won't even be able to access certain data, right, like in an S3 bucket, for example. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's go ahead and just give the user a name. So we're going to call ourselves admin. And then you can actually choose from this menu of options. I'm going to zoom out a bit so we can see. So you can filter by type. So there's job function, AWS managed. So they have these pre-configured policies. And they're assigned depending, right, on your specific business needs. One sec. So yeah, these are configured to specific roles. As you can see, we have some AI, we have Alexa for Business. So depending on what you're doing, you can definitely go with these pre-configured roles. You can create your own policy. We're going to give it the full access, which is already pre-configured here under the administrator access. So we're going to create user group. And there you go. So we're going to hit next. And then we're going to hit create user. And there you go. That's my new IAM user. You're going to take a screenshot of this screen right here to verify that you did create an IAM user. That's going to be the task for this week's lab, is just to create an IAM user after creating, of course, a root user. Remember, if you don't have a credit card, you can always reach out to me and I can give you some prepaid credit card credentials you can use. But yeah, that's it for this week. Good luck with the lab. And as always, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out.